Good afternoon. My name is Alan Unell, and this series of videos is Healthcare Advocacy, where we address problems in the healthcare system and then take actions to try and make a better system for all of us. Today, one of the topics we're going to talk about is clinical trials. Before we do, let me point out that down below in the YouTube description box will be a link to the Healthcare Advocacy newsletter that has the text for this video, and it has all the actions and the background material and links to studies and actions. It's all in there. You can subscribe for free at Healthcare Advocacy on Substack, and that's where that link goes. So let's get started. I've got a little bit of familiarity with clinical trials. When my mother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, that was her only shot. Dead in a month or a clinical trial. She chose the trial at UCLA, and good news, she got to live for 6 months. A friend of mine with whom I worked for many years developed uterine cancer. Not good. However, her brother, who was a physician, managed to locate a clinical trial for her. It's 30 years later, and she is still cancer-free, so it worked out really well for her. Clinical trials allow patients to access the latest treatments and groundbreaking medical technology. All patients, no matter where they live or how much money they make, should have access to this opportunity. Now, there's a bill in Congress. It's called H.R. 8412. It is the Clinical Trial Modernization Act. It allows the sponsors of clinical trials to cover costs that allow more patients to participate, including transportation and lodging and other things. The bill also facilitates more opportunities to participate remotely, so some patients don't even have to travel, and it encourages underrepresented populations to participate. That's actually really important, because the bigger spread over a population that your study works on, the better we know how the technique will work in the general population. These are all really good things. Let's take an action. Let's let our member of Congress know that opening the doors for participation in medical trials can be critical for so many with deadly illnesses, and that expanding the trial population will only produce better results for all of us. Now, in the YouTube description box, I'll have a link, and you can get to your members' email or phone, and you can call them, and I'll give you a script. I'll also include it in the YouTube box. Or you can use ResistBot on your cell phone, which is super easy. All you do is send a text message to 50409, and here's the message. SIGN, S-I-G-N, then the letters PLNYJD. SIGN space PLNYJD. And ResistBot asks you who you are, where you live. It only does that once, so it can get your representatives, and then it shoots them the email. Anyway, the message that you're going to send is, I'm your constituent. I want you to know that expanding the population in clinical trials offers hope to those who need it most and can offer better medical solutions for all of us. I want you to co-sponsor and support H.R. 8412. And in my message, I give them the link to the bill at congress.gov so their legislative analysts can go and read it. Now look, I have an extra credit action, and I'll put that in the YouTube description box as well. Of course, it's in the newsletter. It is from the American Cancer Society, and they ask that we sign their petition. They're collecting signatures that they're going to deliver to Congress, again, asking for support of H.R. 8412. Again, there'll be a link. It's super easy. I think it's name, address, and email, and off it goes. Okay, let's talk about another subject. Let's talk about cognitive tests. Now, personally, I'm an old guy, and Medicare insists that I take a cognitive test, a screening test, every year. And it is super easy. It's, I'm going to mention 3 words. 5 minutes from now, I'm going to ask you what those words are. Show me on a clock. Draw a circle and show me on a clock what 10:45 looks like. Honest to God, there's not much to it. Anyway, we've heard a lot about cognition tests in the news recently. And, another anecdote is I had to go to the emergency department a little while ago when I damaged an eyeball. And since vision was part of the problem, the hospital I went to was actually a teaching hospital in Portland. And everybody came in, they all wanted to ask me questions to screen me for stroke and all kinds of things. And there's a particular test for stroke. It's, do you know the day? Do you know the date? What year is this? Who's the president? Okay, well, that's my exposure to cognition tests. But now it turns out that a very new, robust test has just been made available to doctors, and it can indicate whether a person is likely to experience cognition impairment downstream. Now, not now, but later. Researchers estimate that there are more than 55 million people around the world with dementia. Dementia is an umbrella term for a lot of different diseases that affect a person's ability to remember and think and communicate. And currently the most common one of those is Alzheimer's, which is usually a negative diagnosis. A research team from Murdoch University in Western Australia developed this new test where people self-report their own concerns in 6 different cognitive areas, like memory, concentration, language, and some other things, to help determine their risk. Their findings were published in the journal Age and Aging, and I believe if you go to the Healthcare Advocacy newsletter, you'll find a link to their research article. To develop this new screening test is called the McCusker Subjective Cognitive Impairment Inventory, MCSCI. The team focused on measuring subjective cognitive decline. Now, subjective cognitive decline is when a person self-reports worsening brain functions like memory loss and confusion and thinking. Previous studies have actually correlated subjective cognitive decline to a higher risk for mild cognitive impairment and dementia, as well as Alzheimer's disease progression. The screening test is a 46-item self-report questionnaire that allows a person to address their concerns in those 6 areas: memory, language, orientation, attention and concentration, visuo-construction abilities, which I think means your ability to discern shapes and the like. I have a link to it there, and executive function. Executive function is your ability to execute tasks in order, like to manage your day. They found that the screening tool identifies individuals with above average levels of subjective cognitive decline. Get this, 99.9% accuracy. They must be onto something. The survey is designed to be open access, allowing it to be used by doctors and researchers at no cost. The researchers are continuing to develop their product, and they're building an online version and an app version. And in case you have, nothing to do for 10 minutes, I have a link to it in the Healthcare Advocacy newsletter. However, I got to tell you, it's best if you use this with a professional. Don't take it and then say, "Oh my God, I've got Alzheimer's." You can play with the test, but then make sure you talk to your doctor. Okay, let's talk a little bit about reproductive rights. In case you forgot about Republicans and reproductive rights, let me share with you. J.D. Vance, the Republican vice presidential candidate, is an anti-abortion extremist. Last year, after a proposed privacy rule to protect women in the post-Roe America, Vance began pressuring regulators to let police access the records of people who cross state lines for abortions. Guess why? Let's remember that abortion care is health care. Many factors influence or necessitate a woman's decision to have an abortion. They include, but are not limited to, rape, incest, intimate partner violence, fetal anomalies, and illnesses during pregnancy. Pregnancy complications, including placental abruption, bleeding from the placenta previa, preeclampsia or eclampsia, cardiac or renal conditions, they can be so severe that abortion is the only measure that's available to preserve the woman's health. And that means her life and her fertility, and even to save her life. Since the overturning of Roe versus Wade, the number of women traveling across state lines for abortions has drastically increased. 171,300 patients traveled out of state for abortion care last year, compared to 73,100 in 2019. Vance's anti-abortion stance perfectly aligns with the fascist Project 2025 doctrine. It is clear that a Trump-Vance ticket will lead to a national abortion ban and criminalize women seeking essential health care. I want you to remember this when you vote, and make sure you vote for reproductive rights and democracy. And if you have extra time on your hands and you go get a copy of Project 2025, start on page 449. That's where healthcare is. Okay, that's what I've got for you today. Down below, you can like, share, subscribe, do all that for free. Subscribe to the Healthcare Advocacy newsletter for free. You can send me a comment. I'll get back to you as quick as I can. You can also email me at healthcareadvocacy1, all one word, @gmail.com. Thanks. Talk to you later.